we get told off. The best case scenario is that we get a stream for this racing, but welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we have round number 3 of our Apex Insiders season. We're here for our double round here at Abu Dhabi and at Belgium as well. We have currently Tom Brady in the lead of the race, Duffman in second place, Jared Glow in third, and well, I'm not going to say the name of the V-Carb in fourth, but you get what I mean. Mech Butters in fifth and Battery Voltas in sixth. Now, they've been having internet issues, unfortunately, which means that we have not been able to get the stream up on YouTube, but we have been able to get the stream up on here. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to, or if that's what I was supposed to do, but I figured that it's better this than nothing, personally. That's what I think it would be. Better than this than nothing. Lap 2 of 15. Of course, as I say, I believe it's a 15-lap race that we've got around here, and then 10-lap race around Belgium to finish us off. Is it Belgium? I think I might have just got that wrong. Let me double check. No, it is Belgium. I'm absolutely right. Look at me being smart. Mech Butters through on the V-Carb, and it might be Battery Voltas through as well. So a couple of moves made on the V-Carb. Not a great one at all, and we are going to see these drivers as they continue on fighting on. You can see as well we've got a number of AI in the race, which gives us an opportunity to just watch their pace against them in qualifying. They were so much quicker than them, but mistakes being drawn out maybe early on. For example, the Williams of Jim, he has dropped down to 12th place and has to fight back with Norris for 11th, and to get back into where the actual drivers are, and Roscoe's balls as well down in and around where Bortoletto and Leclerc are, in behind them in fact, and we'll be hoping to get back through. Battery Voltas fighting away with the V-Carb P5, and then, well, as I say, the Red Bull behind, looking to fight with Bortoletto and looking to fight with Charles Leclerc as well and make their way back forward. But we've got a battle for the lead of the race on. It's the inside line. Huge lunge from Jared Glow. Did not pay off, and that will take the Red Bull out of the fight. The Haas, though, stays in position in that second place. And I've just noticed my audio is very loud, so I'm going to go and turn it down. And hopefully that's a little bit less grating, because it would have been grating for me, I'd imagine, watching along. Mech Butters is going to get through. Nope, that is going to be the V-Carb. Even on Battery Voltas for 5th places, that is going to make his way through easily. And Battery Voltas looking to get the run on the exit, though, out of turn 6 and 7 and down towards turn number 8. That's, of course, that curve that they've just headed through. And turn number 9 is the next overtaking opportunity. The Battery Voltas on the upper line makes his way through on the V-Carb, who drops down to 6th place. So good move, but 1.5 off of the cars ahead, so not exactly going to be within range of them. Not quite yet anyway. Tom Brady has been able to build up that gap in the lead, and Jared Glow and Duffman ready to fight. Of course, we saw Jared Glow making contact with, I believe it was Duffman, and that's why there is a 4-second gap between those two drivers. Mech Butters now currently in the mixer, ready to fight with the Red Bull if needed as they cross over for lap number 4. Tom Brady, a 2.2 second gap in the lead of this race. That incident has really spread these drivers out so far in this race. That is the main talking point of it. But I mean, obviously we didn't get to see qualifying. I decided not to do anything in qualifying, just in case you didn't want me streaming on my personal. Some leagues can get a bit funny about that, but I didn't receive a message between qualifying and the race, so we were going to go to the race anyway. Tom Brady he started in pole position, he stays in pole position. Jared Glow in second place, stays in second place. Duffman in third, obviously was fighting for second, did take second off of the start, but has dropped back down to third where he qualified, and then Mech Butters qualified fourth, remains fourth. Battery Voltas has gotten through on the V-Carb driver, and then Alonso has gained 3 places on the start, and Roscoe's Balls drops down to 8th place, 1.8 off the back of Fernando Alonso, so not necessarily ideal, but we'll be trying to make his way back in as the Williams, I believe, are they still in the session? Because the gaps are varying quite a significant amount. So I'd imagine that will be them still being in the session. They're not ghosting. So I think this is just where the Williams... I mean, it's where they qualified, so I'm not surprised that this is where they're fighting in and around with the AI. But it's just, I believe they went up further up the order and came back down. Not sure. Either way, he's in 13th place at the moment, just outside of the DRS of Kimi Antonelli. As we cross over to lap number 5, I'm actually going to get the track map up on the screen, and then we'll get the opportunity to see all of the cars, all 20 of the cars that we've got racing here today. Interesting dynamic, as I say, with the AI that have been brought into this race, because, I mean, they're just they can be very, very erratic when you get into online sessions like this, and I think that might be what some of these drivers will struggle with later on. They can get very, very erratic, and it's just because of all the desync, because of the way that the lobby's set up, it just adds another level of jeopardy. So you might be able to get through and they might lag more than an actual person would do. It's a weird little thing that they have going on as Battery Volta and the VCarb driver continuing to fight away. Where is he going? That's not the circuit. That's a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. Same for the Kick Sauber. So both kind of going off of the circuit. Interesting one to see, as well, now he's got a 10-second, but he has closed up to the car ahead, so he might be hoping that that's going to launch him forward, and he can fight for P4 at least on track, if not off track as well. That's the hope, that's the aim, that's the objective that he's going to be going for, and well, we will see whether that's going to be a distinct possibility towards the end of the race. We're already a third of the way through it. We're about to be just over a third of the way through it, with Tom Brady crossing the line for the 6th of 15 times. And yeah, that's going to be the V-carb moving up. And now the car ahead coming into the pit lane. Mac Butters, after 4 laps, is going to be diving in. What are they going to be switching on to? I'd imagine it's going to be the tyres to go to the end of the race. If Mac Butters can check their DMs as well, that'd be wonderful. Yellow flags for the Williams. I'm trying to lock onto the Williams. They've gone round in the final sector, so maybe just taking a bit too much curbing on the entry to... I'll try and remember the amount of corners that we got. I think it's turn number 13, turn number 12, something like that. The corner where Ronha and Altmir came together, if you remember that one. But yeah, into the pits for the Williams, and we'll be back out on most likely a set of the hards. That's what Matt Butters has gone for, and we'll be now trying to fight his way through the field. Again, interesting dynamic. Jim Sauce about the right pace for the AI. Matt Butters, I mean, he qualified higher than them, so theoretically the pace is quicker, but it's just about making his way through. And of course, as I say, he could trip over them already through of Antonelli, though, so the pace is already being demonstrated for the driver on the cold, hard compound of tyre, and will need to make his way through on Leclerc, Norris and Bortoletto if he wants to take the advantage, the full advantage, from going for that undercut. It will be getting the DRS on Leclerc as he heads out of turn number 7 and down towards turn number 8, through turn 8 and up to turn 9. No overtake being made, not quite close enough. Tom Brady and Jared Glow into the pit lane, and that might be a sumptuous switchback move. And yeah, in the end, just letting Matt Butters go. Did set it up very well, made it look very good, and Leclerc let him go. Jared Glow is going to be in the lead, of course, because the Haas team is later down the pit lane. We are going to have the VCarb driver heading on for another lap as we head over halfway through. But yeah, always an interesting pit lane. Always interesting to watch an Abu Dhabi pit exit, because they go under the circuit. It's a unique way of them exiting the pit lane and coming back out on track. We'll be back out on track. We'll be ahead of Mac Butters, who is now down in 9th place. Only has Bortoletto to get rid of. Already has passed Norris and Leclerc, but sits in 9th place at the moment, behind even 3 of the AI drivers. The 2 Red Bulls right on the back of Alonso as well, so I'd imagine we're going to be seeing a few moves, especially with Duffman being on a brand new set of hard compound tyres, whereas his teammate is on a set of worn mediums. None of the drivers have come in of the AI, so maybe it's not necessarily the right call to be in already, but of course the way that they go, they can always create some random strategies, they can always cook up some random stuff, so that might be the case here today, and where we are seeing the 2 Red Bulls swapping and Alonso getting involved in the thigh contact between Duffman and Alonso, but it will be a move in the end, and no damage, thankfully, for the Red Bull, but that's exactly what I mean. So they got very close. Alonso tried to back out, and in the end just drove into him, more or less, and that really caused some issues for them as drivers as well, and hopefully it's going to be all well and good towards the end of this race, because of course the contact was fine, there was no real problems with it, and they'll continue on. Disqualification for... oh no, is he driven into the pit wall? I'm just going to watch, because what on earth is going on? There we go, back out onto the circuit. Just to pull over to the side. Yep, Beautiful. So he's out of the race. Very interesting. Very interesting. The V-carb. Not sure. Anyway, this is the lap that most of the drivers have decided to pit. And more importantly, I think, it sees Battery Voltas fighting and ahead of Lando Norris. As I will actually turn off the Discord pings because I was trying to sort out the not being able to log on, but I can do that separately. I can get my phone out, get that sorted out. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting dynamic to end this race. Of course, the hard compound tyres are going to be Oldest on Netbusters' car and Jim's horse as well, who's not really relevant in the fight at the top. The V-Cub driver, of course, retiring, not going to be relevant in any way, shape or form. Looked like they just tried to come into the pits. And, well, it said they were going the wrong way. I think they've driven into the pit wall, you know, like we saw, and they lost their front wing. And then they tried to get out. And that's where they got disqualified, because they reversed potentially just that little bit too far, which is going to be a huge, huge problem. Alonso into the pit lane lap 8. They're switching onto the hards for doing less of the race on the hards. Interesting. Anyway, that's a decision, certainly, from them. But, yeah, it is certainly what it is. I'm going to try and find... going to try and send the link into the chat as well, so everybody knows that this might be the place to watch. The place to watch your Apex Insiders Racing round number 3 that we've got on our hands here today. And of course, we weren't able to catch the race start at race 1. We'll have 2 races. I believe it's 2 25%ers on this in this race here today. And well, this will be the first one, 9 of 15, and then we'll have 10 laps in Belgium later on. Belgium, of course, being a longer circuit, so you're going to have more things like that happening. And yeah, hugely interesting part of the race indeed, as is the fact that the top 2 are split by just under now a 9/10 of a second. These two very close together on the circuit, and we'll be getting even closer with the DRS next time around. Jared Gio 9/10 back, 8/10 back, flip-flopping between the two, as the driver in 3rd place is going to set the fastest lap of this race. So opportunities for a number of these drivers to really find their way back into it, and well, they're going to try and go around with the DRS as Jared Gio and pick it up for the first time in this race session. DRS will be open now, and he will try and gain 0.692. Nice, as they headed down the straight for the first time. But the straight line speed for the Mercedes looks like it's going to be just a bit too much, and Jared Gio is going to gain by just over a 10th. So that is not good. I think Tom Brady might have used a bit of ERS at the start of that straight. And, well, it's 8.48 as they are going to cross the beam once again. So it was 8.48. Is it going to be a bit more of a gain? It is. So I think Tom Brady is using a bit of ERS there just to avoid any form of problems, especially at the start of the DRS, the DRS points. So you can see he breaks away momentarily and then comes back in. I also think there's an element of better straight line speed in that Mercedes car. So Jared Gio is, or Jared Glow even, is starting the straight, not doing particularly well in terms of gaining, and then by the end of the straight is able to just get the top speed from that DRS and take him a little bit closer, and it'll be a little bit closer and a little bit closer and a little bit closer every single lap. It's been 3.5 tenths over the previous one for Jared Glow to catch up to Tom Brady, and now this is the fight for the lead of the race. And I say this is the fight, it is now on. These two will be scrapping it out for the victory. Just the 4 laps to go in this race, or 5 even. I've done my maths wrong, because obviously 11 of 15, so there'll be 4 more numbers to go, but of course we have to do lap 11, then we have to do lap 12, then we have to do lap 13, then we have to do lap 14, then we have to do lap 15. So it's 5 laps of racing left to go in this one, and we shall see who is going to come out on top. Jared Glow at the start of the straight, 5 tenths back. Is he going to be able to get any closer to Tom Brady, be able to eke into the gap? No, he's actually only gained by about half a tenth that time, so not making enough gains to catch up to the Mercedes, not making enough gains to really make an imprint. And again, out of the exits, it'll be 0.579 as they start the straight, and down by the end of it, it's going to be a bit more of a gain. It's going to be about 0.3 of a second left, so it might be the case where those drivers are just going to be they're going to be getting closer and closer and closer, because as I said last time around, it was 0.5 of a second splitting them as they crossed the timing beam to start the last lap. This time it looks like it's going to be about 3 or 4 tenths, so minimal gains to catch up. But with the dirty air, it's not going to help them, certainly so, or not going to help the Haas driver in behind, even, certainly so. With the dirty air, it's going to benefit Tom Brady, but with the slipstream, it's really going to help Jared Glow. With the DRS as well, it's really going to help the Haas driver close right on in. So it's 4 tenths, so they've gained by a tenth. If they gain by another tenth, then they'll be right in the thick of things, right in the fight. And that's why there's not been much of a gain, but it's still so much of a mental gain. It's a 4-tenth gap between them. Then it comes down to a 3-tenth gap, and that has more of an impact than it being a second to 4 tenths. So that 1/10 makes a lot more of a difference than the 6 tenths that he would have gained in before. Jared Glow with the DRS 4 tenths back as they start the straight. Is he going to be able to make any inroads? No. Tom Brady again using the ERS at the start of the straight, also using the straight line speed by the end of the straight. Tom Brady has been caught up. Jared Glow makes it right within the slipstream. 0.2 of a second split the two, and it wasn't a great corner, but the exit wasn't too bad. Lost a couple of tenths to Tom Brady, so he remains in the lead of this race for the time being. Gasly and Piastri, by the way. I'm not watching the AI just out of principle, because I think it matters more to watch the actual drivers themselves. But they are having an absolutely insane battle at the lead of the fight for 13th place. 13th down to 16th between Gasly, Piastri, Hamilton and Colapinto. And it's a shame to see Piastri and Hamilton down there, especially Hamilton, of course, our 7-time world champion. And I'm not taking any debates on that, because mathematically that is exactly what has happened. We're about to turn on to lap number 13, and Tom Brady, who's racing for Hamilton's former team Mercedes, is going to be leading the way. Haas in second place. They've got no notable alumni, although Ollie Behrman might well become the first. But, I mean, unless you count Romain Grosjean as notable, because... Oh, Charles Leclerc did a testing session there once, I believe. I think he might have done an FP1 in the Haas the year before he joined Formula 1 in 2016. So, there we go. That's a notable alumni. But, again, Leclerc hasn't really done anything particularly memorable throughout his career. He will be remembered, of course, but I'm not sure he will be remembered as much as people think he will do, especially fanboys and fangirls and fan everybody alike. 2 tenths back for Jared Glow, so it's the closest that he's been so far to the back of Tom Brady. Really trying to close in. Tom Brady trying to close the slipstream. Jared Glow to the inside line of turn number 6, and out of turn number 7 he's going to try and seal this position, allowing the space, but Tom Brady just backs out in the end. And Jared Glow takes the lead of the race. He set this move up a couple of laps ago, and he's just kept it going. He's kept persistent, and he's going to give it a go here today, and he's done so. Jared Glow leads the way. Tom Brady second place, and will continue to try and keep fighting this one again and again and again, as they are about to catch up on Jim, the first lapped car that they'll be catching up to. But he is 6.3 seconds off of the back of Liam Lawson, so I'm not sure they'll be able to catch up to anybody else throughout the rest of this race, and I don't think they'll be lapping anybody either, but you never quite know, because of course it's hard to judge the AI's pace. It is slow, we know that, and I think Lawson qualified about 5 seconds off of the pole position time set by Tom Brady. I think that is it, but I'm not quite sure, as Tom Brady's already almost lost that second to Jared in the lead, and I think it will be a second by the time they head out of turn number 5 and head down the straight towards turn number 6. It will actually come a little bit more down to 0.8 of a second. So Tom Brady, with the overspeed, I think, is gaining a bit, and he will gain a lot down this straight. So for comparison, Jared Glow was probably gaining about 1/10 of a second every time with the DRS open, without any significant ERS assistance. Tom Brady was 0.8 back. Now, how close is he going to get? He's going to be about 0.3 back. So the straight line speed for the Mercedes is absolutely magnificent. It's significantly better for the Mercedes than for the Haas driver, but the Haas driver pulls away down the straights and or in the corners even, and that's exactly where the difference is made. Tom Brady to the outside line, Jared Glow just to the inside, gets the turn in, holds on to the position for the time being. Good move and good defense for now, and Tom Brady going to continue on and try and fight for this race lead. But we are going to go on to the final lap number 15 of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Of course, we've got a double header here today, and this is the first of 2. Jared Glow, who just chased down Tom Brady ever since the pit stops and made a very good move, really set it up nicely, is going to try and hold on. But there's 2 DRS straights to do their best to try and hold on, as Battery Voltas has made his way through on Mech Butters and is up into 4th place at the Kick Sauber. The first driver to make an overtake, the first driver to really even get close to an overtake since, of course, Piastri's mad fight with Pierre Gasly, and also Jared and Tom Brady, who will switch back to now. I know we've had a lot of focus on the race leaders, but there's been a reason for that. The fighting has been very good, and I think I'm going to switch back now after this straight to those 2 drivers, Mech Butters and Battery Voltas. Mech made his way back through. I think it might have been a case of a mistake coming out from Battery Voltas, which does mean that he's going to be a second off. Now, keep an eye on that Haas driver. Keep an eye on the Mercedes in behind as well. Definitely not going to be close enough, most likely won't be close enough throughout the rest of this race. Battery Voltas not even close enough to Mech Butters to make a move, to make an imprint, so we will continue on watching with this fight. So maybe a mistake and then a counter mistake from Battery Voltas, or maybe a mistake from Mech Butters, which Battery Voltas was able to capitalise on, and then in the end Mech Butters was just able to take the position back on pure pace. But Jared Glow has seen all the overtaking opportunities really run out for Tom Brady, and has just been able to hold on to the position. It's a very strong hold from Jared Glow, and the pace has been the quickest of everybody. It's a thoroughly deserved victory for the Haas driver. He's going to end over the line about 1.3 seconds ahead of Tom Brady, which is a huge gap to have pulled out considering he only made the overtake a couple of laps ago. Victory in race 1 is going to go the way of the Haas driver. Jared Glow wins. Tom Brady in second. Duffman will come home 21.7 seconds back. 21, almost 22, it will be 22 when he crosses the line, seconds back. That's a huge gap. And those top 2 with a really strong performance. Mech Butters will come home in 4th. Battery Voltas has caught back up, but of course with that penalty will not be fighting away. It will just be in that order remaining, regardless of who makes a send, if anyone makes a send into the final corner. Then Roscoe's Bulls will come home in 6th place, 9 seconds off, and then 18.8 ahead of Fernando Alonso in 3rd place indeed. And that's going to be a victory for Jared, 2nd place for Tom Brady, everybody else finishing this race. Of course, Jim, a lap down. Battery Voltas not very happy about the fact that he just about missed out. Now, I am going to send us to an intermission screen, and the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm really keen to get ourselves back on the Apex Insiders platforms, but we shall see. Thank you very much to those of you who tuned in for race 1. Stick around for race 2, because even if we do switch over, I will let you know. Now, welcome back. We have the opportunity, the wonderful opportunity to, well, have a look at the track map for the next race and have a look at my wonderful face as well. Now that we know what's going on with the stream, it will be here for the remainder of this race. We have the longest circuit on the Formula 1 calendar coming up, 7 kilometres, just over 7 kilometres in fact, and 19 turns around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Also so much elevation change, especially between turns 4 and turns 8, and then you head back down the hill. But with just the one DRS zone for these drivers to really make an imprint. There's another one, of course, down at the final corner, down the main straight, but it's not really going to give too much of an effect for the drivers. And, well, the grid is ready, and the drivers are ready to get underway as well. As I say, it is going to be a 10-lap race for these drivers because it's a little bit easier. Or it's a little bit longer around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, so it's going to be the same distance, but just a little bit less lap. And that means, of course, that the drivers will be contesting an entirely different challenge, because now no longer do they have to have the face. They no longer have to face the problem of the Abu Dhabi circuit, which is that it's short. You have to practice so much of it, but now there's a whole different challenge in that you can't practice this whole circuit. You spend the same amount of time, you can't practice the circuit the same amount. We have had some internet problems, I believe, with the lobby host. I'm just going to find out if that's me or if that is the lobby itself, and then we'll be ready to get going. Yep, new lobby will be created. So, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get back to the intermission screen, but we will get racing to you as soon as we can. take two. Take two, ladies and gents, of our racing action this evening. Take two of race two, even because, of course, we had race one at Abu Dhabi earlier on. We had a new person able to join at the very last second, so we reset everything, and we are ready to get going once again. Hopefully, nobody new joins, but hey, you never know. It could be a good thing that somebody new joins, and then we get more racing action, more drivers who can make more mistakes. It's good fun to watch. Always good fun to watch. But now we will have the drivers ready to grid up. Of course, it is reverse grid from the finishes of race number one. And well, I'm not sure how many people are going to be too happy with Brad that he turned up late. Because it is now wet. I promised you before. I don't know if I showed it on stream or not. I honestly don't remember. But it was bone dry. So it is now a wet racing session that we have on our hands, and this changes the dynamic a lot. Nobody will most likely have setups, and if they do, they're an absolute genius, or they paid off the league organizer and Brad to turn up late. Either one. But it is going to be a very, very interesting dynamic indeed to watch this race with the wet conditions being thrown in, and the lights are coming on now for the formation lap before we get our racing underway, and we can see what the drivers have decided to opt for. I'm going to go for I was having a bit of a gambling chat before we started. I'm going to go for, it's going to be full wet tyres. I was actually going to bet on intermediate, so I'd have lost my money there. But we are going to be going for intermediate tyres for these drivers to start off this race session. Now, I think I'm too used to the whole esports thing where all the drivers can, and it's actually beneficial for the drivers to be racing on the intermediate compound of tyre in the wet conditions. But yeah, we will see what these drivers will be capable of. Maybe later on when there's a dry line forming, that will be when they make their decision to come in, make the switch, or they might just stick it out because it is a lot safer to go for these tyres. But of course, it's one of those things that you're just going to have to learn and grow with as you go along. Everybody is on a set of the wet compound of tyre at this point in time, and well, that's exactly what these drivers will be hoping to continue with throughout the course of this race session. They'll be hoping that nobody does take that gamble onto inters, because if they nail it, then they'll get faster. If they don't nail it, they don't. But if they do nail it, then they get ever faster. We've had our pole sitter retiring from the session, of course, and well, I believe actually being disqualified from the session. We've had 3 more drivers being disqualified from this qualifying session, from this formation lap as well. So not going well for them so far. Just would have been contact with another driver, and that did not pay off for them. They actually got punished for it, and sometimes those punishments are rational, sometimes they are less so. But either way, they'll be starting with very, very, very cold tyres. That's the trade-off for them. But as we head around this circuit, you can see Jim is so much further ahead of the rest of the grid. This is how long it takes for a lap around here when you're not going at full speed. We will, of course, be going at full speed, but when we've got a safety car out, if we do end up getting a safety car, then that can really slow the action down. It can take hours to get through a lap. But the other benefit means that we get less laps where we're going to be under safety car conditions, so more laps of racing, and that's exactly what we want to be seeing today. We want to be seeing as much racing as we can possibly get. The drivers are now forming up on the grid. They're joining their friends, Duffman, Steep Eagle, the new man who joined in for race 2, and then Bradford as well. We've actually got 2 new drivers, have we? Yeah, we've got 2 new drivers for this race session. That's good, and we will be seeing both of them contend. They did not make it for race number 1. They got disqualified in that formation lap. We'll see how well that bodes. Doesn't sound like it bodes well, but it could be that they're just saving up all their luck for the racing, and the racing that will get started in just a couple of moments' time as the green flags are waving. Everybody is ready, and it's just about when the server decides to let the drivers go, and they're going to start going now. The 5 lights are coming on for the second time here today. The lights are on, the drivers are ready, and the action gets underway. It's good to actually be able to get a race start, and we are going to now. It's a very good start for the V-Car, who's going to lead into turn 1. The two McLarens are going to go side by side. That's a huge, huge punt for the Haas driver in the middle of the pack. We've got a virtual safety car out. We've got a lot of incidents that we've started off with, and this is looking like a little bit more like that one Spa race back in the day. Everybody picking up a 10-second time penalty. This is madness. 10 seconds for Mech Butters, 10 seconds for Tom Brady, 10 seconds for Jared, 10 seconds for Duffman, and 10 seconds for Brad as well. That was an end plate flying off for somebody, not quite sure who, but that is very, very, very... it's a very big incident. Roscoe's Bulls joins in the 10-second time penalty party. Gabriel Bortoletto somehow has picked up a 10-second in the meantime as well. So, lots of incidents on that opening lap. And that's what you can get with a slow speed first corner. Yeah, a 10-second time penalty for Liam Lawson as well. That's what you can get at a very slow speed first corner. You can get bunching up. You can get drama like that, and that's exactly what we got. And I'm glad, as I said, we were able to get a race start in the end, even though it was halted straight away by this VSC, which hopefully will be in very soon. And hopefully nobody will be getting a drive-through penalty. I'll be honest, I think we're going to be seeing at least one drive-through penalty, but we will wait and see if my prediction is going to be right. My prediction earlier on was not correct, so I am 0 for 1 here today in this Belgian race. I don't remember if I actually made any predictions during the course of the Abu Dhabi race, but for the Belgian race, I'm going to predict that. 1 of 11, and this is what I mean by it takes so long to get through a lap, because we are still on lap number 1. We're still just about in the second sector as well, so it feels like it drags on, but then the race ends and you go, oh, I wish that was longer actually, because it becomes a very good track when you stop thinking about the length that it is. It's a very, very fun track in my opinion, one of the best on the calendar, and it's a grave shame that FOM really doesn't seem to like it and is desperate to get rid of it at every available opportunity. Still under VSC, a lot of end plates were flying off, so they might be giving the drivers the opportunity to come into the pit lane and change their wings. I think we will be seeing a few at the end of lap 1. And I genuinely have no idea who it was that had their end plates taken off. We shall see as we pass the pit lane. It will be Mech Butters, of course. That is one of the obvious ones to have their front wing end plates off, because we saw them go into the back. That's what kind of set off the drama for all of these drivers. It looks like he might be the only one into the lane on this occasion. Just seeing, no, actually, they're all in, including Gabriel Bortoletto. The only drivers that aren't are the top 2. This could play so perfect. No, it's a real safety car. How on earth have I not spotted that? I am blind, because obviously it says virtual safety car, and I've trusted what the game said. Why on earth have I done that? Because I know the game 99% of the time is incorrect. I don't know, but in the end, it is actually a real safety car, so it makes more sense for those drivers to come into the pit lane. Let's change the strategy slightly, as opposed to the safety car being a virtual one, because 1, that means that the drivers will have the opportunity to change the wing and come back out a-okay, but for 2, it means that the drivers will be bunching up once again, so the top 2 won't be getting as much of an advantage by staying out on the wet compound tyres that they started the race on, but they still have the track position. We have a number of drivers on the intermediate tyres. Now, this will make the race very interesting as well. Steep Eagle, Mech Butters, Roscoe's Bulls, Tom Brady and Gabriel Bortoletto all in for the intermediates. The fact that the AI, more than the rest of them, the fact that the AI has even come into the pit lane shows what sort of weather conditions that we might be having as soon as we go back to green flag racing. We might have dry racing conditions, or near enough to dry. Ignoring battery voltest for the time being. That may become relevant later on because it is still actively raining out there, but it's going to be very interesting to see a mixed condition race here around Spa. That's what we can get around Spa, especially just because of the way that the circuit is, with the way that it's so long, with the way that it's so winding, and the way that it can go pretty much everywhere around this Ardennes forest. It can wind, it can twist, it can be dry in some parts, wet in others. Who ultimately knows? But what I do know is that when we get back to green flag racing, it's going to be absolute carnage. And what I do know is we might be seeing some more pit stops in this lap, if not from the real life drivers, from the AI that will chase them in. top 2 stay out. Everybody else looks like they might be staying out. So Gabriel Bortoleto may well have been a red herring for the rest of the drivers, a bait to try and come into the pit lane, which has not worked, apart from the drivers that, of course, had to pit most likely with damage at the very start of this race. And hopefully we can make it through one clean corner. That would be lovely, and I think we will get the opportunity to. I think we're going to be able to do it. I believe in the drivers that are racing today that they're going to be able to do it, but ultimately we will wait and see. The safety car has us led for another lap or so. Jared, Battery Voltas, Duffman and Bradford. Excuse me. They are 31.6 seconds off the pack. Interesting. Are we going to be seeing Battery Voltas into the pit lane again? I'm getting the hunch that we are. Duffman, 10-second time penalty for contact with Voltas, who appears to be staying out. That can't be right. Oh, okay. Right. So we cut over to Battery Voltas, and he is knees deep in the gravel. Okay. So I'm not going to question that. I'm just going to move on. And we're going to have a look at the race leaders once again. They're in a prime position for this race. And they're in a prime position to really take advantage. Basically, brand new set of wet compound tyres. Whether that's the right tyre to be on or not is another question. Basically, brand new set of wet compound tyres. Everybody else is an AI, so they're not going to be as quick off the green flag. But what they will do is they will defend. They might not defend very hard against the cars coming through that are on the intermediates, but they will try to defend. The intermediate runners are going to have their tyres warned by the fact that it's not quite the right conditions. It's not quite the right time as the safety car comes in this lap. It isn't time for the intermediate tyres just yet, I wouldn't say. But what it is it's time to gamble. That's what those drivers have done. That's what they're so used to. As soon as I open up the server, I get flashbanged basically by about 5 adverts for gambling. But either way, that doesn't matter, because we're about to get going once again here, and it'll be the VCARB driver to take us away. It'll be the Williams driver in second place. Of course, the VCARB driver retired in a very embarrassing way in race number 1. Hopes to maintain the pace that he had in race 1 and take it over to race 2, but not the luck. He's back to green flag racing. We're back to green flag racing, and he's had an incredible launch off of the line to take himself already 1.5 ahead of the rest of his competitors, ahead of the nearest competitor that he's got. That is a huge, huge margin to hold, as it's the fastest lap of the race, showing that it is the weather conditions, it is the time for the drivers to be making the switch to the inters, but they need to be just keeping it clean for the time being. We will watch actually the drivers on the inters versus the drivers on the wet. We're going to watch on with Jared Glow, of course our race winner from race number 1, as Jim looks like he might be being fought by Oscar Piastri for the top couple of positions. And actually we will switch back to that one, and it will be Jim on the inside line. Oscar just squeezed out and remains in the position just behind in third place. Excuse me, Tom Brady through on Liam Lawson, trying to demonstrate that the intermediate tyres are the faster ones, but this isn't really going to be representative because the AI is too slow. What will be representative is the gap to the leader. Now, for Tom Brady, gets through on the Red Bull driver of Roscoe Sports. The gap between himself and the leader, 8.6. Now, where is the gap between himself and the leader going to be around the end of the lap? Keep an eye on that one, folks, because that is going to be the defining factor of whether it was the right decision to come into the pit lane. If it was not, then what we'll be seeing is the delta sort of hanging around or going up, and as a result the tyres will be getting cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked as well. They'll just keep getting cooked, those tyres, until until they can't get cooked anymore, or until the wet weather finally will come, which will be relatively soon, I think, even the intermediate conditions come. It will be relatively soon, I think, for those tyres to be the prime tyres to be on, and he continues his charge up the field. The next driver that he'll be chasing through is Lewis Hamilton, who is fighting it by himself with Fernando Alonso. It is 2008 all over again with those two, and Tom Brady, who will be hoping to go back to his 2008 glory days. I know nothing about American football. Is that when he was good? He gets through on Hamilton and Stroll as well, and makes his way up into 6th place and has Fernando Alonso just ahead of him. So he made his way through on Hamilton and Stroll even, but now the outside line, the fastest lap for Tom Brady, and he gets through on Fernando Alonso. And there we go, the delta, he's gained by a second. I think it was the right call to box after all. But, of course, you have to fight your way through the field, and that's exactly what these drivers are doing at the moment. Roscoe's Bull's trying to fight away with Pierre Gasly. He's going to be trying to make the move up Eau Rouge and into Raidillon, and will get the move done on Gasly, and now sets his sights on Jared Glow. Has the run out of the corner. Jared is on a set of the wet compound tyres. This is the true test, the first true test that we've had on screens at least, and it looks as though Jared Glow's slightly faster. Gasly trying to fight back with Roscoe's Bulls, but cannot quite do so. He's not quite got the overspeed. They remain locked in battle, but I think it is intermediate time, and Tom Brady continues his charge through the field. Next one up, Lando Norris, the two McLaren drivers, both next up. He's dispatched of all of the other AI, and he just has 2 to go before he can reach his final destination, which is the fight for the race lead, which is the fight with the VCARB driver for said lead, as we're about to tick over to halfway through this one. Stroll has had a problem. He's very far off of the circuit, is Lance Stroll, and he's somehow managed to recover it. What has happened to the Red Bull? Maybe further back down the order, not now dropping past his teammate Duffman, who's going to go sweep around the outside and is going to make the move up. Jared Glow as well, getting through on Lance Stroll, and Tom Brady getting through on Lando Norris. So everybody fighting their way through the order and ready to get racing further up the food chain, and they've made it almost all the way up the food chain, as Tom Brady especially. 4.9 the gap between himself and the leader, the gap between himself and Piastri 1.2, and he'll be hoping to close that one down ever more as he continues on throughout the course of this race and throughout the course of the last lap. I think if he gets through on the next lap, he can deem that a success, and then if he gets stuck behind the VCARB driver, he's still got a lot of time. But he needs to make the inroads. Now, the lap time on the last was 2:03.217. As we've had yellow flags, it looks like Mech Butters has had further issues further down the order. Indeed, he has no front wing. He's going to dive into the pit lane after contact with what looks like the Williams driver of Jim Sauce. And of course, it may well just be a completely unrelated pit stop. They just both happen to pit at the same time. No pit stop just yet in this race for the Williams, so it might just be a regulation first pit stop, but we know from Mech Butters that is not what it is. Battery Voltas almost an entire second off now, as Tom Brady sets his sights on the lead. 3.2 is the gap between them. That is Duffman out of the race. Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Not sure what's happened there. We're going to try and catch a camera angle, but everybody decided to not be anywhere near Eau Rouge by the time I was able to click on their name, and he's despawned by the time that Jim makes it to Eau Rouge. It looks like he spun off the circuit. Disappointing. Jared Glow through on Hamilton, and we will get... now we have 19 drivers left in this race. Duffman already just about being out, and Mech Butter switching over to the medium compounded tyre. Why not at this point in the race? Why not try it? Why not give it a go? The reason why you wouldn't give it a go is that you would lose a lot of time. That's not what Mech Butters is doing at the moment. In fact, he may well be gaining time. Battery Voltas trying to do the same thing. He's also gaining time, so it might be dry conditions for these drivers, as there's no front wing end plate on Jared's car. That might explain the pace deficit that he's got to some of the AI that he's fighting against. I think the VCARB is trying to hang out until the dries, and I think he's doing an incredible job. But he has to keep fighting. He has to keep scrapping with Tom Brady for this point in time for this first position, because he knows that he's not going to fall into the clutches of anybody anytime soon. The AI, too slow. Jared Glow, 9.3 seconds off, and also not within shooting range of Alonso just yet. So 6th, 7th place is what he will be most worried about if he doesn't fight Tom Brady. And if he does fight Tom Brady, who's going 2 seconds a lap quicker every single time, then he can be safe in the knowledge that he at least fought for the race victory, even if he didn't pick it up, and that can take confidence rather than anything else. If he's not able to take the race victory, confidence is what he's going to be able to take. Alonso fighting with Jared Glow, who looks like he's gone wide out of the first corner and will drop back down into 7th place. Alonso 1.6 ahead, so Jared's going to have to do the work all over again, and well, that was easier than expected for the Mercedes driver to make his way through on the VCARB. But it's certainly not time for those wet tyres anymore. It's certainly at least time for the intermediates, although the way that Mech Butters has been acting over the last couple of laps, it's not quite dry tyres yet, but it's a lot better to be on dry tyres than on the full wet compound of tyre that we are seeing. And, well, it's time, I think. McButters is in for another set of new mediums. Right. Okay. That's a choice. Okay. Anyway, 7 of 11. Like this store, but we don't have in England. So I'm referencing something I don't know. But 7-11 is what we're at the moment. And we have now a 3-second gap between the two leading cars. That is huge. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the V-Carb into the pit lane on this lap. It almost makes sense, more sense, for him to come into the pit than not at this point in time. As Jared threw on Alonso, and it looks like they might have had some sort of tangle between the two cars. Alonso maybe just frustrating Jared a bit too much. And the wet compound tyre runners coming together. Alonso all the way down to 13th now, 14th even, as he's not going to move. Is this going to cause a safety car? No, because he's going to rejoin the circuit after everybody. Tom Brady, 158.7. Huge, huge gain on everybody else in the field. And he's pretty much nailed on for this race victory here today. So he's made up for race 1 by coming through in race 2. And, well, doing even better. Leclerc into the pit lane, Hamilton into the pit lane. They're switching onto the intermediates, surely. I think it's even worth a gamble onto the softs at this point. But Leclerc is going to go for not the softs, the mediums even for 3 laps. Maybe the softs, but they might be dead towards the end. I did a race yesterday around the... Where was it? Oh, it was around Monza. And I got 8% tyre wear in one corner on a set of the soft compound tyres, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I've ever got so much wear on one part of a lap ever before. It was in one corner. It was in Parabolica, mind, but one corner, absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, 8 of 11. And this Apex Insiders round number 3 is almost at an end. It'll be season number 5 that we are taking you through. And we are 3 races in, and we still have a number to go. The way that this league works, we don't decide the leagues, we don't decide the races until right before. And it will be round number 3, 4, 5, and 6 to finish off our seasons. We're almost halfway through. We will be halfway through once we have completed this race. If we have a look at the results and standings as well, the Drivers' Championship standings will have... Oh, it's hard, isn't it? Because I don't know who's who. I think this might be Tom Brady in the lead of it. And in second place, it'll be the V-Carb driver. Third place will be McButters. And fourth place will be Brad, who was able to show up today, but hasn't really made an imprint, just outside the top 10 at this point in time. And then the V-Carb of, well, somebody else who's a V-Carb in 5th place as well. Just have no idea really who many of these people are, but it is what it is. 9 of 11 now, and I'm not going to say anything. 9 of 11, and Tom Brady continues to lead the way, 11 seconds now ahead of the second place driver, and continues on. Piastri in 3rd place, Norris in 4th, and Steep Eagle is going to hope to take that podium off of one of the AI, because we cannot be having an AI on the podium. That's just not how this works. 2/10 off the back of Lando Norris, and we'll be hoping to make his way through on the McLaren drive very, very soon. Jared Glow and Roscoe's Bulls as well, waiting in the wings, and Roscoe actually gets a much better exit up Eau Rouge and Radeon than Jared Glow will, and will make the move. Will he make it a double salvo? They will make it potentially 3 wide. No, Roscoe's Bulls boxed in, and Jared Glow using Steep Eagle very well just to try and remain in the fight, and almost slides his way ahead, gets a switch back. There's a punt between the two. Jared Glow goes into the side of Steep Eagle, and it will be the Williams who gets in the end ahead, and Jared who misses out. Oh, very close for the V-Carb. Oh, the Red Bull even going to the inside line didn't quite take the initiative, and once again it'll be the exit that really benefits him as he makes his way through. Steep Eagle just seems to be drifting in and out and around corners as well, and well, has now dropped down to what will be 7th place, just behind Jared Glow, 6th for the Haas car, and Roscoe's Bulls, the latest driver to try and challenge for that final podium spot, because Tom Brady has just really flown away. The V-Carb driver as well in 2nd place, going to try and stay in said second place. And of course, we've got at the moment an AI in third. We're going to try and change that very shortly. One of these three drivers will be taking that podium, and it looks like Roscoe's Bulls is going to be the first one to take the initiative and try and make his way through on the first one of the McLarens. He's got intermediates. The McLaren has a set of wets, as does Jared, to be fair, but he's able to keep it within range. How's Battery Voltas doing on those tyres? Well, the answer, not particularly well. The weather did clear up, but it hasn't cleared up enough, as that was a bit wide for Jared Glow, and he's dropped back down the order into 7th place. But yeah, these two keep on fighting on for the rest of the race, hopefully, and then hopefully we'll be able to see a victor in the end. Yellow flags out on the circuit. That's going to be Jared, who's had a problem in the final corner, potentially contact with himself and the Williams, who he was fighting with, but into the pit lane for Jared, and he's going to be making the switch, probably changing that front wing as well while he's there. We'll have a look as it's on the penultimate lap. Maybe he's going to try and get fastest lap as well. But, of course, we shall see. Yeah, soft compound tyres on the car. And he'll be trying to make the switches now. Well, Roscoe's Bulls fighting for that podium. And Norris is going to be spinning off the circuit. So a bit more contact, a bit more drama with the AI in this race session. And that will be the McLaren gone around and into the gravel trap. So not necessarily ideal. We'll keep on watching with that Red Bull in 4th place. We struggled to get past one McLaren, now has another McLaren to contend with. Just ahead of him, 9/10 is the gap between them, and there's only 1.5 sectors to go between them just to try and establish this 3rd place on this podium. It looks as though the top two are going to remain just as they are, and what a victory this will be. An absolutely dominant one. He went into the pits at the right times, he nailed his strategy, and that safety car has really benefited him as there's yellow flags. That looks like Brad's gone round, but it's round the final couple of corners for Tom Brady to take the victory here in race 2. No, we've got one more lap to go, so ignore me. But he looks as though he's going to be on to take that race victory. That was embarrassing. Never, ever clipped that or repeated or anything like that. What was I talking about? I knew it was the penultimate lap. Anyway, Roscoe's Bulls trying to fight with Oscar Piastri for that 3rd place. Now with the front wing end plate missing, probably from the contact between himself and Lando Norris. Not the first time we've done that, not the last time either. Gabriel Bortoletto also just in behind Lando Norris, as Brad has had further issues. Now we can have a look at what's going on. He's got a puncher. As Brad seriously got a puncher, I'm trying to switch over to a good camera angle for it. I think that's what's happened. And that might be very nerve-wracking for the driver in 2nd place, who of course was on a set of the wets from the start of the race. One to keep an eye on, certainly. One to keep an eye on, certainly. It's not going to let me look, is it? There we go. Is it going to be a puncture? Yes, it is. It's the left rear tyre for Brad, unfortunate. And now all eyes turn to the V-Carb in that 2nd place, who's going to be nursing those tyres to the end. They're going to look knackered. Let's go on board then with him, as we'll have a look at the tyres into the braking zone. How do they look? Because there's more yellows. It's still Brad struggling. They're looking like they're going to be very, very worn. You can see on the inside part, just next to that blue line, that is where you can get a true indication of how worn the tyres are, and you can see the inconsistencies in how it is. I'm not sure if it's coming up on stream at all. I can see it. The inconsistencies in the line of paint as well does demonstrate how worn it is, but also it's the shade of that part of the tyre in comparison to the rest, and it is a lot lighter. That means a lot of the rubber has been worn off, and so it's going to be a struggle for him to make it to the end of the race. He's only got a couple more corners to go, though, so if it was one more lap, maybe he'd be screwed, but it's not going to be. And the race victor is going to come across the line in sensational style. We called it last lap, and we missed it, actually, as he crossed the line, because I thought the line was later on. I thought the line was the actual start line. But it'll be Tom Brady to take the victory. 2nd place for the V-Carb driver, who's going to try and manage those tyres to the end. Do not have a problem in the final corner. He's gone so much slower on this last lap just to nurse those tyres to the very end, and it's a supreme job. But Roscoe's Bulls in 3rd place, just about going to not be able to challenge. Oscar Piastri takes 4th. Steve Eagle will be in 5th, and that will round out your fighting. That will round out our day here in the Apex Insiders League. It might not quite be done yet, though, because, of course, these two fighting, but I think that's going to be it for the racing action. And very good racing action indeed it was. Mech Butters is going to get through on Jim at the very end because Jim's gone off the circuit, crumbled under the pressure, and might actually fall into the clutches of Battery Voltas, whose tyres are going to be absolutely knackered at this point in time. But that's going to be it for this race, I believe, as everybody now is indeed coming across the line to finish themselves off for this race session. And we've had 11 laps around Belgium, and still drama in Abu Dhabi, drama here. It's been a good weekend, really, when you can say that, and when you can say that about both of the races that we've had for ourselves. But a sensational victory for our race victor, and he'll be very, very happy with that one, I think. We're just waiting for Battery Voltas, and then we'll finish off. Who's going to reverse across the line? There we go. That's the race end. Little bit of a nervy moment with the puncher and with the drivers, everyone being on older tyres than that. So it was a bit curious when Brad did start having problems. But of course, Brad jumping into the sim, jumping into the race right at the very end. And so he is so very happy that he will be able to finish this race, even if he's not happy with the results. Or I'll be happy on his behalf. Tom Brady from 17th on the grid, all the way up to first. And our pole position sitter is going to end in second place after a DNF in the first round of today's action. Moscow's Bulls will take third place, and Steep Eagle will be in fifth, and Jared Glow will be the next of our real drivers in 14th place. Mech Butters in 16th, Jim in 17th, Battery Voltas in 18th, and then Brad will be our last finisher with Duffman in the final place, and 20th, the only DNF from this race session. But what a supreme drive from our race victor. What a supreme drive from the top two, to be fair. And, well, that will be it, I think, for this race session. I hope you've enjoyed all of the action that we've had to bring you today, both of the races. And until next time, hopefully with less hitches, it is goodbye.